Night in Nevada. In the middle of the desert, a glass city floats in light and data. They call it Glass City, a place where every surface can see, listen, and remember. On every face sits an AR visor, turning the air into another layer of reality. Floating billboards, hovering arrows, traffic instructions. All of it exists only in the eyes of those who wear the glasses. They believe they're the ones in control of the technology. Until the signal shatters. A tiny streak of static flares, then spreads like a crack across glass. Signs switch places, lanes are reversed, warning messages morph into flickering red code. Self-driving cars obey commands no human ever gave. Traffic lights flash red, then green, then die completely. In a matter of seconds, the intelligence of the entire city turns into a pre-programmed nightmare. The sound of metal colliding, glass breaking, people screaming, fuses into a single chaotic symphony. Somewhere inside the city, a man's voice screams over a radio. "It's all an illusion. They're using our glasses to kill us. If anyone hears this, shut the system down right now." Then the signal is cut, as if a hand had reached out and strangled the line. The audio ends abruptly. The screens go dark. Only the heavy breathing of another man remains, the one replaying that recording. His name is Kane Rourke, former operative, now an investigator for the Aegis Division. Tonight, he's been given a simple assignment, confirm that a technical malfunction has been resolved. And in this exact moment, Kane understands nothing in Glass City is ever simple. If everything you see can be faked with a click, then what is real? Kane had seen cities swallowed by war, but Glass City was something else entirely. No smoke, no burned-out husks of cars, just a very clear sense that everything was being rewritten by someone, line by line. He used to be a field operative, where the enemy appeared cleanly through the sight of a rifle. Now his enemies were lines of code, data packets, algorithms hiding behind polished glass. The Aegis Division called him tonight and said only one thing: take a look, then sign off that everything's fine, like your superiors requested. Kane steps onto the street. Glass, data, ads drift past him like a glowing river. He's not wearing glasses. He wants to see this city with his real eyes, even though in Glass City, real eyes are something almost no one uses anymore. The corporation that runs Glass Nation waits for him in another glass tower, taller than most he's ever seen. There, Kane meets Lena Ward, head of tech security. Footsteps with no wasted motion, a voice with no wasted words, someone born to stand on the side of order or to cover it up. The briefing moves faster than it should. Lena plays a cleaned-up video. The glitch is just a series of local errors, a few cars affected, no serious casualties. The system has been patched. Glass City is safe. Kane watches each frame. Everything is perfect, in a mechanical way. When the report slides across the table, Kane doesn't read the title, doesn't read the conclusions. He reads the timestamps. The system log says the incident starts at 22:31. But right below, another entry has been blurred out, leaving only half a line, as if someone carefully covered the very first moment of the nightmare. Lena asks, "Are you here to investigate or just to sign off that everything's fine like your superiors requested?" Kane meets her gaze, his voice low. "I'm here to find out who's turning your city into a weapon, and so far, I don't see anyone who's innocent." Behind them, Glass City still blazes with light. No one but the two of them knows the glass has already started to crack.
You're listening to Midnight Action Stories, thrilling crime tales after dark. If you enjoy these late-night missions, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your questions or theories in the comments below. After the briefing, Kane asks to be left alone with Glass Nation's raw system logs. Thousands of lines of characters slide past his eyes like rain across the night sky. He isn't looking for answers, he's looking for the empty spaces. And then he sees it. An abnormal log entry, an emergency request sent from the basement of the data center at the exact same moment the first glitch hit. Sender, Ethan Cole, senior security engineer, a man whose Aegis file clearly states died 2 years ago. The name is anything but unfamiliar. Ethan once served as Kane's inside source in a cyber warfare investigation. Brilliant to the point of being unbearable and stubborn enough to argue directly with Aegis about installing backdoors in civilian systems. The record says he died in a workplace accident, but the log says he was still alive on the night of the disaster. Kane tries to pull Ethan's full file through an Aegis secure line. A voice as cold as steel answers him. Access denied. File sealed for reasons of national security. Even at his clearance level, they slam the door in his face, which leaves only two possibilities. Either Ethan was hiding something, or someone is hiding Ethan. At that very moment, outside, Glass City coughs again. In a matter of seconds, AR visors all over a public square blink bright red. Active shooter, imminent threat. Fake camera feeds show a gunman charging into the crowd. People scream, shove, trample each other, while not a single real bullet is fired. Kane watches from behind a thick pane of glass, eyes on the chaos a few lines of code have unleashed. He knows exactly what this is, not a random bug, a test. Someone is finding the limits of the city and of him. If Ethan was the one who sent that last warning, then the question isn't why did he die, but who made his death look so perfect on paper. Ethan's last known address isn't in the shiny part of Glass City. It's an old apartment block, swallowed by new glass towers, like a stray memory someone forgot to erase. Ethan's neighbors don't wear AR glasses. They look at Kane with real eyes, carrying the wariness of people who are used to being ignored. The woman next door says Ethan was a weirdo, living with machines, always muttering about Layer Zero, a data layer beneath everything people think they see. Ethan's room is empty now, but what he left behind says more than any official report. Walls of notes, system diagrams, red arrows pointing down to one repeated phrase, Layer Zero, where the truth is rewritten. No signs of a struggle, nothing that looks like an electrical accident, just the hurried silence of someone who's been removed. The official file tells a different story. At the station, the cop in charge of the workplace accident, Tommy Briggs, greets Kane with a tired but polite smile. He lays a thin folder on the desk. He got electrocuted in the data center. Nobody was there when it happened. Cameras were down. The body was moved out the same night. Everything sounds smooth, to the point of being suspicious. In the crime scene photos, Ethan lies on the concrete next to a scorched electrical cabinet, burned just enough to look like an accident. Textbook. But Kane's eyes don't stay there. They fix on the wall clock behind Ethan, the hands pointing to a time that doesn't match the system log, almost an hour off. An hour is enough to fit a lot of things, like a thorough cleanup. When Kane asks about the time, Tommy freezes for just one breath. His eyes flicker up to the security camera on the ceiling. Then he turns back with the same polite smile. "I just go by the report they handed me, Mr. Rourke. If something's wrong, it's above my pay grade." The answer sounds harmless, but it reeks of fear. Kane leaves before Tommy can ask anything more. Dusk drapes itself over Glass City, and the artificial lights begin to wake. He walks through the crowd of visor-wearing pedestrians, turning over in his mind the idea of a dead man appearing in two different moments of the same night, until the whole city looks straight at him. In a single instant, AR visors around Kane flicker, then display his face, framed in red. Internal threat.
"Do not approach." People step aside, whisper, a few spin around and walk the other way. He hears no sirens, only the sound of his own heartbeat, slowing, then turning cold. In Glass City, there's no need to nail wanted posters to telephone poles. All they have to do is touch a line of code, and the entire city will see whatever enemy they choose. Kane understands the game has just switched roles. The hunter has been dropped into the role of prey, and the only question left is who's holding the mouse, watching him from the other side of the screen.
The AR wanted poster vanishes as quickly as it appeared, like a message. "I see you." Kane doesn't go back to Glass Nation headquarters. He turns toward another tower, the one that controls every lane, every light, every virtual sign in the city, the City Flow Coordination Center. If Glass City is a living body, this is its spinal cord. A borrowed technician uniform, an access badge lifted from someone who chose the wrong spot at a coffee shop, and Kane slips into the ranks of Glass City's invisible people, the ones nobody looks at twice. Sometimes, the best way to disappear is to look like everyone else. Inside City Flow, the whole city rests on the walls, glowing lines of traffic, every intersection, every bridge, every tunnel, all obeying an algorithm. Kane only needs one open network port, one small device, no bigger than a thumb, and he starts pulling down what the system doesn't want anyone to see. Within seconds, the control logs pour in. Among the lane changes, slowdown commands, emergency priorities, one name stands out: Mirror Subroutine/Spectral Node. A chunk of code labeled as a safety mirror function, but in reality, a layer of commands overlaying everything the users see. Whoever owns Mirror owns the eyes of the entire city. The problem is, Mirror doesn't just reflect, it looks back. When Kane digs deeper, a tiny warning light flips from green to yellow on the console. The system has just detected someone standing on the user side, peeking into its guts, and it doesn't like that. For security, the story looks very different. Through their internal AR visors, they watch Kane draw a gun and shoot a technician in the back, blood splattering the wall, a perfect shot with perfect framing, ready-made as evidence. Only, in the real world, Kane is still standing at the console, hand on the keyboard, without a single bullet fired. But inside a building where everyone trusts what they see through glass more than through their own eyes, what does the truth matter? The internal alarm isn't triggered by sirens, but by frames of fabricated footage. Guards charge in, guns out, shouting orders Kane can't quite hear over the sound of his own heartbeat. He runs. The glass hallway stretches out like it will never end. He takes the only path he truly understands, straight forward. He barrels across a steel staircase, drops from one landing to the floor below, skids on sweat-slick metal. Somewhere above, glass eyes quietly track him, redrawing every step with another layer of lies. He finds an open maintenance hatch and dives in just as the guard's footsteps thunder overhead. The hatch closes, swallowing him into the dark. Down there, there's only his ragged breathing, the creak of metal cooling, and the glow of a small flashlight on the logs he managed to pull down, where the name Spectral Node repeats like a pre-written accusation. Spectral Node. The cyber-terrorist group Aegis has been hunting for years. Every trace, every number points toward them. It all sounds a little too perfect. So perfect that Kane no longer knows whether what he's holding is evidence or a story someone has prepared for him to believe. In the dark, Kane does the only thing he still trusts. He calls the one person he knows isn't good at lying because he's too busy to think up anything polished. Eli Park, Aegis's cyber warfare specialist. The line comes alive with the clacker's keys on the other end. Eli's voice spills out fast and a little blunt. "You do realize calling at this hour means either you're drunk or we're about to lose a city, right?" Kane answers, "So far, it's just the city. I'm sending you something. Don't let it get lost." Kane pushes the data packet containing the mirror subroutine through the encrypted channel. On the other end, Eli goes completely silent. Only keystrokes and distant rustles of papers in an Aegis server room. When he finally speaks again, there's no sarcasm left. "What did you say this was Spectral Node code?" Eli sends a screenshot back. Two code blocks side by side, one from Mirror, one from Aegis's internal library. They match almost perfectly, with only a few places dressed up to look like spectral node style. Eli says, "This is our backdoor, Kane, the one Aegis installed in the visor system for passive oversight. Spectral node is just driving the car we built." It wasn't Spectral Node punching through Grass City from the outside. Aegis drilled the hole themselves, called it a failsafe, then handed it to the Glass Corporation to use. Ethan Cole was the one who fought hardest against putting this backdoor into a civilian system, and after that, he died in a workplace accident with no cameras, no witnesses. The pieces slide back into place. Ethan in a dim conference room, his voice echoing through memory. "If you give them a door, there will come a day someone else walks through it before you do." A faint Aegis logo on the projector, the words Layer 0 as a bullet point. The past suddenly looks exactly like the present, except this time, Kane is the one arriving late. The Aegis device in Kane's hand vibrates, a formal message. "Recall to headquarters. Preliminary conclusion. Spectral node responsible. Your mission, confirm. Close case, maintain public calm." Everything wrapped up neatly, the way stories no one wants to hear more about always are. The problem is, Kane has now seen those missing details. He knows Mirror belongs to Aegis. He knows Ethan tried to stop it, then vanished into a 1-hour gap in the logs. He knows someone inside his own organization decided that a few thousand pairs of visor-wearing eyes were an acceptable price for a convenient loophole. In a city where everything can be rewritten with a software update, the line between attacker and protector suddenly looks very thin. Spectral Node is driving the monster, but Aegis is the one that raised it. And Kane's mission tonight might not be to save Glass City at all, but to clean up after the true owner of Mirror.
Kane rises out of the ground like a stray shadow in an empty underground parking lot. In the distance, Glass City burns bright as if no one had almost died inside it minutes ago. He tells himself he should get out, report straight to Aegis, until the device in his hand vibrates again. This time, the message isn't about Spectral Node, it's about him. Investigator Rourke is under internal review. Cease all activity and return to headquarters immediately. Any further action will be considered insubordination. The words slide across Kane's eyes like a sentence that's been pre-written, waiting only for a name. He gets in the car, punches in a mission exit code, sets his destination to the nearest military airstrip. The self-driving system accepts without a question. The HUD draws him a path out of Glass City, winding but clear. Maybe he should obey the recall order, let someone else decide whether this city lives or dies. Until the road starts changing itself. AR signs outside swivel, green arrows on the windshield bend toward another direction. The HUD's voice is calm, recalculating route. And every time it recalculates, it sends him deeper into the heart of Glass City. Someone doesn't just want him gone, they want him trapped. The other self-driving cars begin to behave strangely. A taxi slams its brakes right in front of him. An SUV slides into his lane, brake lights blazing. There's no one in the driver's seats, only processors obeying a voice Kane can't hear. Kane kills the autopilot. A weak protest beep dies in his ears. For the first time tonight, he feels the real weight of the steering wheel in his hands. He yanks hard, cutting across a lane in a skid, diving down into a service ramp the HUD doesn't show. If Glass City is a maze drawn by algorithms, he's choosing a path the algorithm forgot. The tunnel is narrow, lit by flickering yellow lamps, echoing with engine noise and the pulse in his chest. Ahead, a metal gate that should be locked starts to rise, slowly, as if someone's been waiting. Lena's voice comes through the car's comms, cold but no longer distant. "You pick the hard roads, Rourke. Drive in. If you keep playing hero up there, they'll have all the justification they need to shoot you in broad daylight." Kane doesn't ask how she's moving the gate, doesn't ask why she's helping him right after the whole city's been told to stay away from him. He just drives through, letting the metal door slam shut behind him like a coffin lid. The new tunnel is wider, deeper, and most importantly, quieter. Up here, Glass City is reduced to a faint hum somewhere far above his head. When the car stops, Lena is already there, standing among rows of pipes and cable trays, her perfect boardroom suit replaced by a dark tech jacket. She studies Kane for a long moment, then says, "I've seen the same stack of files you have. The difference is I live under them." When Kane asks, "Why are you helping me?" Lena gives a small shrug. "Because if you disappear, they'll close this case and call it handled. And me, I have to live in this city a lot longer than you do. I don't trust gaps in logs, and I don't trust deaths without bodies." Lena turns away, heading deeper into the tunnel. "There's a place I need to show you. Layer 0. If you want to know who's rewriting Glass City, we have to go where all the lies are stored as raw data." Kane follows. Each step takes him farther from the world with a sky and closer to the dark heart of the Glass City. Layer 0 doesn't look like a server room. It looks like a cathedral built for data. Hundreds of black racks stretch out to the vanishing point, LEDs blinking like half-closed eyes. Down here, there are no AR visors, no ads, no illusions, only fan noise and the very clear feeling that everything truly begins here. Lena swipes her card at a control pedestal, and the surrounding screens flare to life, revealing another version of Glass City for Kane. Not buildings and streets, but data columns, access chains, command streams linking together like veins. "This is where Glass Nation edits reality before pushing it to the visors," she says. "Very few people know this place exists. Even fewer know about today's guest." A deeper voice slides out between the cold machines. "You took longer than I expected, Rourke." Marcus Hale steps into view, suit still crisp, tie still perfect like the posters promoting Glass Nation. Only the eyes are different now. Not a businessman's gaze, but someone evaluating the price of the product he's about to sell. Kane wastes no time. "You work with Spectral Node?" Hale chuckles as if he's heard a joke. "Wrong. Spectral Node works for me, or rather, for the market." He snaps his fingers, bringing up a chart, a crisis index curve rising, with a security revenue line jumping right beneath it. No one pays for absolute safety until they've seen what real chaos looks like. Hale doesn't bother to hide anymore. He opens another interface, a simulation of squares, streets, hospitals. Inside it, a script is being built. Citizens' glasses will show gunmen, fires, riots that aren't there. In 2 minutes, Glass City will witness a civil war. Police will react to what they believe is real, and when blood spills, people will line up to buy our absolute safety visor package.
Lena stares at the timer, her face going pale. "To stop it, I have to shut down Layer 0 entirely. The visor network will go blind for a few seconds. Planes, cars, hospitals, everything will stutter. They'll call it a terrorist attack from our side." Kane steps forward, his footsteps echoing on the metal floor as he faces Hale. "You're playing God with an entire city." Hale just shrugs. "Even God needs a product manager, Rourke." Hale's security finally wakes up. Small drones drop from the ceiling, their camera eyes glowing red, gun barrels humming as they spin up. The on-screen clock flips past 1:30. Every second is one step closer to the moment Glass City will shoot itself. Lena whispers, "I need 90 seconds." Kane answers, "Take 100, I'll give you 10 back." Kane dives into the maze of servers, using each metal column as a temporary shield. Bullets slam into the racks, steel vibrates, drone rotors buzz inches above his head. He doesn't have time to worry that every round might erase data for an entire neighborhood. All he knows is he has to drag the fight away from the console to give Lena room to breathe. The clock slips past 00:45. Lena types commands like she's doing open-heart surgery on herself, detaching Layer 0 from the visor network for a few seconds, routing the entire load into a closed loop. If she gets one line wrong, Glass City goes completely blind, free-falling. If she gets it right, the riot images will evaporate before they reach anyone's eyes. One drone slips through the racks, closing in behind Kane, gun mechanisms grinding like metal teeth. He spins, charges it the way he would a human opponent, grabs its body and smashes it against a server. Sparks spray, scorched plastic fills the air, rotors choke and die. There's no time to feel pain, only time to keep Hale away from the keyboard. 0010. Hale abandons composure and reason, lunging toward the console like a cornered animal. Kane intercepts him on a narrow steel stairway between two racks. Boots scrape on metal, grunts tear out of their throats, server housings shudder as one of them slams into the side. Somewhere behind them, Lena breathes. Almost there. 003. 002. Lena hits the final key like pulling a trigger against the temple of the entire city. The screen in front of her flickers black, then comes back under a new protocol. Every LED on the racks shifts color in unison. Fan noise dips for a heartbeat, as if Glass City itself is holding its breath.
The timer freezes at 0001, then vanishes from the screen as if it had never been there. A cold status line takes its place. Layer 0, temporary isolation. For a few short seconds, Glass City hangs by a very thin thread between order and free fall. On the surface, AR visors all over the city go blank, virtual signs disappear, ads go dark, guiding arrows dissolve like smoke. Planes, self-driving cars, hospital systems all stutter, slipping into basic fail-safe modes. For a handful of heartbeats, Glass City has to move without its favorite digital crutch. Underground, Layer 0 stumbles too. Lena's hands fall away from the keyboard. She drops into a chair, breathing harder than the fans around her. On the narrow staircase, Kane finally forces Hale down, locking his arms behind his back, pressing his face against the cold rail. The God game is paused for now. Even pinned, Hale smiles, not the smile of a man who's lost, but of someone already planning the next round. He whispers, just loud enough for Kane to hear, "You think you just saved them? One more blackout like that, and they'll beg us to keep their glasses locked down forever." The Aegis device in Kane's hand vibrates again. A new message appears, clean, neat, completely devoid of emotion. Operation, containment, suspect in custody. Stand by. Not a single word about Mirror, Layer 0, or the fact that Aegis dug the first hole. Only Kane, Lena, and the humming racks know what really happened tonight. Kane and Lena look at each other in silence. No words needed. They both know the next order won't be thank you. Lena opens a small window on her console, splits off the raw logs from tonight, compresses them into a single file. She plugs in a tiny drive, dragging the file over as if dropping a stone down a deep well. In case they decide to rewrite the history books too, she murmurs. Hours later, they stand on the roof of a glass tower, watching Glass City return to normal. AR visors light up again. Ads float, arrows confidently tell people where to go, as if there had never been a moment when the entire city was forced to look with its own eyes. Lena asks, her voice just softer than the wind, "If tomorrow they use the glasses to lie again, what will you do?" Kane doesn't look at her. His gaze stays on the glowing lines of traffic below. "What I always do. Find out who's writing the lie and see how much they're willing to pay to keep it." Below them, in a narrow alley, an ordinary man wearing AR glasses pauses to check his notifications. For a fraction of a second, his visor flashes an image no one else sees. Spectral nodes' faint, glitchy logo, and the words, "This is only a test." Then it's gone, replaced by the latest ad for the ultimate safety visor package. Glass City shines on, running smoothly, confident in the thin layer of glass between itself and the world. Somewhere inside that layer of data, someone is smiling, preparing the next test. And Kane is just a small figure on a rooftop, looking down at a city he knows all too well. Here, the truth is rarely the first thing people see.
You're listening to Midnight Action Stories, thrilling crime tales after dark. If you enjoy these late-night missions, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your questions or theories in the comments below.